Hey guys, Professor Bill of Comic Book University, and Hey Kids Comics by Howard Chaykin. All right, so this is going to start off with a really sad moment. Let's get into that in a moment. Writer and artist Howard Chaykin, colorist Will Quintana, letterer Ken Bruzenek, cover Dan Cameron. Wow. Okay, so this is a hard one to digest. It starts off with this poor guy coming up to a very rich guy who's walking in to see a superhero movie, all right, in the big screen, a movie theater. And this is way, way, way back in the day. He walks up and he's, basically, just, hi, how you doing? And he's kind of looking for a couple of dollars, something to that effect. And the guy's like, oh, yeah, here you go. And he just asks him a couple questions. And you could tell the power dynamic because one guy's going, oh, hey, Mr. So-and-so. And the other guy's just calling him by his first name, So the cop comes over. Hey, what's going on here? This guy bothering you? Let's be realistic, man. Like, as rude as this is going to sound, whatever, all throughout the history of history, the figures of authority, like the police figures, have always been about maintaining status quo and making sure that poor people don't bother rich people. And this just, oh my God, I see this and I'm like, this is so freaking sad that back in the day, the classism thing was just so painfully obvious. You could see it in the movies from back in those days and that era. Wow, so bad. So, or if you listen to stories from your grandfather. Oh geez. Basically, this is supposed to be a reference to one of the creators of Superman, in some ways both of them, and the guys who were actually in charge and bought the license for Superman. The guy shows up at the movie for the character that he created, and some bigwig who already had money wound up making a whole lot more money off of someone else's creation. Wow, gee, imagine that. So the cop, of course, later comes over after he gets his little handout. Cop comes over, all right, bud, let's get out of here. And he pushes him out of the way and guides him out, puts hands on and everything. You get to see a bunch of people going into the war, oh, I'm getting ready to go into World War II and, I'm going to be serving for a little while. Oh, I just got out and little things like that. And that's most of the guys from Marvel. I think some of the guys from DC too, but the big deal was Jack Kirby and Stan Lee and all those guys who went into the war during that time. Man, this really hits home. This reads like a history book where the names have been changed to protect the innocent. You see the old Atlas comic symbol, but modified and called something else. And just all these things, if you've studied the history, forget about the history of comic books. If you studied comic book history, all right, and the people who created these comic books, and I am by no means an expert. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty darn good at it. I know a whole lot about it. I still learn more all the time. But there was more than enough here that I understood exactly where those references were leading to. And this was just so sad. And the idea that in the end, they all really hate each other because of the crap they had to go through and the way that they were raised, the way that they were all brought up, and the fact that they just don't feel like they could trust each other. I'm like, these are my heroes, and they hate each other. I love them all, but they hate each other. And I'm in this book, and all of us who feel the same way are in this book. The guy actually is like, I thought you guys liked each other. Oh, shut up. Yeah, they're constantly cursing at each other, and there is a lot of cursing in here. And it's almost like it's very real cursing, where you're literally just calling each other cursed names, and things like that. Just wow. This is eye-opening, and this is really wicked in that regard. All I'm saying is Howard Chaykin did a really, really good job on this comic book. I'm looking forward to seeing the next issue. Yes, it is going to be continued, but oh man, it kind of kills me just a little bit. All right, guys, that's it for me. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.